Pete and Sam's. I've gone many times over the years, and not once have I had an unpleasant experience there. If you aren't familiar with the eatery, then you should know that it's a classic and timeless Memphis restaurant. 10 steps inside and you'll feel as if you stumbled upon 1950s New York. I've always wanted to know more about Pete and Sam's and the story behind it. So I sat down with Michael Bomarito, the current co-owner and son of the founder. What I found surprised me.
Yeah, Sam Bomarito started the restaurant in 1948. Started with his cousin Pete Romeo. Pete Romeo came out of Chicago, came down, gave Mr. Sam $3,000 loan to help him get his restaurant going. Him being from Chicago, thought Memphis is very slow and very boring. Got his $3,000 out within the first 6 months and went back to Chicago. And at the time, business was very slow for Sam. He couldn't change the name of the business sign, so the name Pete and Sam stuck. Pete and Sam's opened in 1948, Airways and Alsea. Stayed there for several years until the interstate got built up. Pete and Sam's moved to a second location at Airways and Lamar Avenue. It stayed there for a handful of years, but this location we moved into in 1960.
After Pete jumped ship, Sam was left to fend for himself. He had no money, no crew, and very few resources. But through hard work, determination, and a bit of a balancing act, he prevailed.
First year that they were open, his cousin was in for a short period, got his money out, then it was all him, and he would literally tell me that he would greet people at the front door, get them set up with some bread and crackers, a little bit of water, and then they would order, and then he would yell back into the back kitchen, I need a couple of steaks and a plate of spaghetti, and there was nobody back there. So he would walk back there, and he would cook all that food, and then he would bring it back out. So it was a one-man show for a little bit of a stretch. He came out of World War II, and apparently he just tried to figure out something to make a living after getting out of the service, and good food and cooking for his friends around the neighborhood, and his mother providing food. Just thought it might be something that he could jump into. No experience, no family business in it. Just something that he thought he could give a shot. The majority of the recipes came from Sam's grandmother, Rosalia, and he took those, developed them to people. He kind of developed them, worked them up for a restaurant. Yes. His brother Paul added a couple dishes. His older brother Paul was a foodie well before foodie was a term, and added a couple of dishes himself. But all the dishes were family recipes that came from my grandmother. My dad always liked just a plain plate of spaghetti. He enjoyed eating spaghetti. Simple. Also, Elvis Presley ate here a lot, and what Elvis ate was spaghetti and meatballs. Seems like people just like the simpler dishes.
Since his father spent almost all of his time at the restaurant, it was only natural that Michael and his brother would find themselves there too.
And as a 6-year-old, I actually worked for Pete and Sam's making pizzas. I had an apron, and I had a punch card. I would clock in, work an hourly wage, and at the end of the week I would get a paycheck as a 6-year-old wearing a Ernie and Bert t-shirt. My father was a pretty kind guy. We didn't really raise too much hell running around. We did run around a lot, but we didn't do anything destructive, and we definitely didn't do anything to offend any customers.
Michael isn't the only one who looked up to his father. Several of the restaurant's current waiters had the chance to work with Sam, and he left his mark on them. Because even though Sam has passed on from their daily lives, he still finds his way into their thoughts.
I worked probably the first 4 or 5 years I was here. He was alive, and we think about him every day.
Through decades of service, Pete and Sam's has attracted flocks of loyal customers who have come back month after month, year after year. One of these regulars is Kevin Davis, an interesting character, because at Pete and Sam's, Davis doesn't just eat, he sings. So if you ever need any more enticement to come to the restaurant, know that you might get more than just food. You might get a song.
The next thing you know, Johnny's a billionaire. The kid folks said, hey, move away from there. Said California.